Day 1202 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzie here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So starting off, we'll take a look at those Russian losses, as currently Russia sits on more than 997,000 military personnel losses, edging closer to that 1 million mark, and added to by an additional 970 losses in the past day. Then as for hardware, 4 tanks, 11 APVs, 42 artillery, and 1 MLRS. Then, with so much activity in play right now, headed direct to the map, as Ukraine has launched over 150 one-way attack drones targeting various regions across Russia overnight, and starting out in the lesser-known Slovakia region, as the AFU continues to dismantle every corner of Russia's defense industry, with this morning striking the producers of an array of electronics used in Russian air defense units, leading to a massive fire that ripped through the 2 production facilities deep inside Russian territory, nearly 1,000 kilometers from the border. These facilities churn out radar, relay protection, and automation systems for the Russian military, including gear for tanks, air defense systems, and electronic warfare tools. So no doubt it's an impressive distance from the front lines. However, not the first strike in the region, because back in March an oil depot was struck. But this latest event sets a new bar for headline making destruction in Russia's thought to be more protected eastern industrial heartland. Then, just next door, Nizhny Novgorod, which is still not so good, with Ukraine's special forces pulling off another deep strike, teaming up with other defense units to hit 2 Russian aircraft at the Savitslaika airfield. Early reports indicate that the targets were likely a MiG-31 and an Su-30 or Su-34, though final details are still coming in. It's not the year for Russian military aircraft. Then to Saratov, with more Russian railway woes witnessed, this time due to a freight locomotive at the Rossa station in the region suddenly catching fire, bringing the Volga railway to a standstill. The blaze broke out just after midnight Moscow time, forcing the freight train to halt with technical issues and causing delays for multiple trains across that line. In yet another sign that railway chaos can strike so far away when Russia least expects it. And clearly also, 2025 is not the year for Russian railways either. Then headed further northeast on the map to the mysterious case of a big fire in Kazan. Explosions were heard, fires could be seen, and according to some reports from locals, a gunpowder factory is on fire. Local Russian officials called this a paint shop, clearly sticking to the Kremlin talking points on that one. Then closer to Ukraine, blasts were reported near the Borisoglepsk airfield in Voronezh, getting attacked at least every second day at the moment. So far, for overnight's events, the sounds of explosions look to be resulting from air defense engagements intent on protecting their airbase fleet. It was also reported that a Ukrainian drone damaged a gas pipeline here, sparking a small fire. Then even closer to Ukraine, a fuel tanker was on fire in Belgorod, and an ammunition depot in Rilsk of neighbouring Kursk, and was heavily impacted by what was said to be a good old-fashioned HIMARS rocket strike. Then headed across down to the Black Sea with further information on an operation from a couple of days earlier, where a Ukrainian autonomous naval vessel equipped with FPV drones reportedly attacked Russian special forces who had just landed on the gas platform in the Black Sea. In video footage, the same oil rig is seen smoking in the background, with similar small boats nearby. After Russian special forces landed on this platform, they were quickly targeted by Ukrainian naval kamikaze drones, potentially lying in wait. The Russian SOF unit was repelled, and will have to try another day to commandeer these valuable Black Sea gas platforms. Oh, and also noting the range of drones equipped on the unmanned surface vessels, are about 15 kilometers for the FPVs and about 40 kilometers for their fixed-wing drones that they release too. Next on the map, and to waters far, far away, and turning into classic Russian-style stuff here, as about 30 tons of fuel oil has spilled into the Yenisei River in Russia's Krasnoyarsk Krai region to the north. The containing ship suffered a breach in its hull, damaging its fuel tank and steering. A state of emergency has been declared in the affected area, all as a result of rusty ships of the most powerful empire of the universe. Then headed across to Tyotkino, bordering the Ukrainian Sumy region, as AFU artillery units are intensifying their fire on this frontline bordering town, where reports say the Russian garrison is already under partial encirclement by Ukrainian Battalion Adar and the 225th Assault Regiment. This flanking maneuver aims to pin down Russian reserves and threaten key logistical routes, directly impacting the wider Russian push towards Sumy. While Russian forces have spent the last month making slow bordering advances in the adjacent northern Sumy direction, their momentum has stalled along the Kotin-Yanakivka line, with Ukrainian defenders updating the battlefield dynamic in stabilizing this axis, shifting the fight into a positional deadlock, meaning to say progress is limited, the front is getting stuck. Still, things could change, although everything now hinges on whether Ukraine's maneuver to the west can disrupt Russian logistics and force an operational rethink, coming to the defense of Tyotkino in Kursk at the expense of Sumy in Ukraine. Long-held Russian lands for the Kremlin should be a priority for them, but it's not really always been the case. So it's the interlinking of a tale of two battlefields right here. Then further down the map, with an overall 159 combat clashes recorded in the past day, and of it, with significant activity to be found in the Pokrovsk axis. The Flying Skull Battalion of Unmanned Systems Forces destroyed 2 Russian MTLBs and another BMP on this front. But there's also the southwest of this main direction. Russian forces are continuing on the attack, inching closer to the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, and with Russian claims of a breakthrough into this western-facing Ukrainian region. A small Russian attachment appeared successful in motorbiking through the concertina wire, but was immediately followed up by the return fire from the AFU, directed on this protrusion, which put a dead stop to any real encroachment of the territory. Interestingly, Kremlin spokesperson and Putin's toilet brush, Peskov, made recent comments on a Russian offensive into Dnipropetrovsk, stating that work continues to create a buffer zone on this very part of the map. And yet, Russia has still to secure a buffer zone on the entire northern border, let alone this brand new buffer zone of operations they now speak of. Then headed across to the west on the map to the little spoken of Ukrainian Rivne region in the far northwest, dealing with Russia's hypersonic Kinzhal missile attacks. Hypersonic in name only, it's a Russian thing. However, on this occasion, the AFU's air defense personnel spoke fondly of their air defense network against these particular non-hypersonic missiles, stating that 4 out of 4 of the Kinzhal missiles flying towards the region were shot down. So it appears that the underperforming Kinzhals, after all this time, still have a lot of kinks to work out. Then taking a look around on the map, with another example of a MiG-29 crew delivering a precision strike with an AASM Hammer Aviation launched munition, destroying a Russian manpower and ammunition concentration in the south. And so what a remarkable uptick we're now seeing in these types of attack sorties, going from almost nothing to almost, if not daily. Also in the air, but more in line with the soothing engagements of drone-on-drone warfare, softly ensuring the disengagement of a Russian quadcopter as the AFU drone deployed a disabling net coming from the work of Ukrainian defense technology company Patashka Systems, with the shooting nets becoming one of their many designs. And it would be pretty well timed to say that this occasion also gives additional new meaning to the term Operation Spiderweb. Then to head to some news and to take a moment on President Zelensky's latest interview with ABC's Martha Raddatz, where he made it clear that Ukraine isn't entertaining Russian ultimatums or considering any kind of surrender when it comes to the Russian version of peace negotiations. Instead, Kyiv's focus is on a realistic ceasefire proposal mediated and monitored by the United States, and providing no open doors for any plan that lets Russia regroup or rethink the rules. He also made a point that Ukraine has been open to every serious proposal from the Trump administration, but Russia shot them all down, showing who's really blocking the peace process. Zelenskyy also signaled that Ukraine is on the verge of forcing Russia to back down through a combination of its own resilience and international support. He also spoke on, in addressing recent chatter from Trump's circle, flatly rejecting the idea that Putin is winning. He called it a misreading of the situation, pointing out that there is no victory in losing 1 million people just to gain a few thousand kilometers. Certainly an ongoing sentiment that I have myself. And so for the interview, the message was simple. The facts on the ground look nothing like a win for Russia, no matter any external entities for what they consider it to be, or what Russian propaganda portrays it to be. Then to some more news. Slovak Prime Minister Fico doubled down, declaring that Slovakia will veto any EU sanctions against Russia that threaten its own national interests. The Slovak parliament passed a resolution urging the government not to support fresh new rounds of sanctions against Moscow, with Fico branding the move as a political tool aimed at sending a strong signal. Ironically, Fico's claims of blocking Russian sanctions to defend Slovakia's national interests, but in doing so, he's inviting EU backlash, political fallout, and long-term risks that could hurt Slovakia even more. It's a Slovakian direction designed to protect, supposedly, but it may end up doing just the opposite. So either he can't see the forest for the trees, or he's just a bit too eager for those warm handshakes and potentially regular paydays from Putin. Then headed across to a quick funny to round off the video today. Because when everybody asks, where's the 100 new T90s per month that you're producing in Russia? Which is a great question, something we would absolutely notice in the field if those Russian claims were true. But then we wouldn't be leading into instances like these. Army green bathtub sidecar motorcycles for the Russian army. Not even Mad Max bikes would stoop to this level. Unfortunately for everybody, it's not just an embarrassment for their own country, but an utter embarrassment for the planet. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks again for watching. Please continue to do all the good things, the likes, the comments, subscribing, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers!